Well, I would add to everything that has been said. And aside from writing what you know, get to know something different. Um, Many authors and writers have curious minds, and so do your research. If there's something that you're not too sure about, but it interests you, do your research. That's how anybody becomes an expert on anything, is working closely, whether it's an issue, whether it's writing, anything that interests you. If you want to become an expert on it, all you have to do is do your research and really learn all you can about a specific topic or issue. My background is in journalism, education, music business, working in a nonprofit arena. I started a literacy, family literacy nonprofit agency to service my community. So I have a background in community service and speaking. I'm a motivational speaker as well. And part of the challenge for me sometimes has been just always trying to figure out, okay, what should I do next? Because there's so many things that I know that I'm capable of doing, and I have done in the past, but recently I've just began to learn how I can marry all those things and really do all of them. I don't have to choose one over the other. I can do all of them. And one prime example of that is when I started off in college. I thought I wanted to go in the medical field, but then I ended up becoming a journalism major. And then out of just some research I was doing for an article that I was writing at the time, the idea for my children's book came. And that led to more research, even though I grew up in a household full of music, just a lot of different music. And my father, he always exposed me to jazz. And so that's the reason why I really love jazz. But even with that being said, there were some things that I discovered doing my research that I didn't know. And I found it to be very interesting. And so I would say, do your research. I'm not going to go on anymore because my mother is going, time, other people need to speak, you know. But I would just say, write what you're passionate about. And if you're interested in something or you say that you're passionate about it, you're going to spend time learning more about it and doing whatever it takes. So that would be, I think I answered the question, yeah. That would be what I would have to say.
Okay, let's see this question. Expert. Well, school teacher for 32 years, elementary, coached 21 years, wrestling. Did that in college too. Worked with the autistic for 7 years. What's it got to do with this? Nothing. So, I do like camping. I do like hiking. So when you do pursue those little recreational areas, you might observe the animals. And that's probably where these books, what I do know of animals, not that a lot, might have come from, but not from what I pursued, you know, in areas where I made a living. And so, what are you an expert at? Has nothing to do with this. This is pure imagination. Thank you.
The soul of brevity is writ. Something like that. What am I an expert about? I like to tell stories. And probably that grew out of being a father, and it grew out of the fact that I've been a lawyer for 32 years. And my specialty as a lawyer is representing condo associations and writing their documents and going to their membership meetings, which has got to be about the most boring thing in the world for the average person, except for those membership meetings, which can get real exciting. So as a coping mechanism, I learned to inject humor into the meetings that I'm running them, and to kind of combine my mockery of the troublemakers with the delivery of whatever important legal news I had. So yeah, I'm a lawyer. There's a couple stories about being a lawyer in the book. They're actually 100% true, although when you read them, you'll wonder if they're true. But they have nothing to do with condominiums, so they're much more interesting and amusing. What else am I an expert at? I'm an expert chef, and I'm an expert outdoorsman. I started shooting a bow when I was 6 and shooting firearms when I was 6 and living outdoors when I was 6, and pretty much I love the outdoors and everything in it. So a lot of the stories I wrote are just my experiences being outdoors. They're not particularly hunting stories, they're not fishing stories. They're just about weird and I hope funny things that I've experienced in my time outdoors. So that's what I'm an expert on, and that's how it's related to the book, because it also goes back to, I figured if I was going to write for other people to read, I should stick with things I know about, and so far I have. I've got a cookbook I've written but haven't published because I need to get photos for it, so maybe I'll be talking to some of the people down here. And I've already got second volume of this all mapped out, but since I have to work for a living, I haven't got that done just yet, but Bill's making me nervous about retiring because I thought I'd have lots of extra time, but evidently that's not true. I'll answer question number 4. I bet I have the same answer for everybody. What's the most difficult part of publishing? For me, was cost, because I was brave enough to send some stories to some famous magazines for their consideration for publishing, and I'm pretty sure I saved the rejection letters, which will soon be framed and hanging in my office, because they were very humiliating, and at the same time, looking back, they're actually pretty hilarious. Dear Mr. Alexander, we have no use for your work. That's pretty pithy. No big explanation there. So hardest part, I went out, I ended up finding a publisher locally in Plymouth, and the hardest part was I had to pay him to do it. It was something I always wanted to do. I was following my dream. I know in a couple months, since this has been on Amazon.com for a while, I'll be stinking rich.